And I started with the DJ. So when G-Rap took me to this is my first, now I'm gonna start working on music. G-Rap took me to a party. He introduced me to Marley, and it was Albie Shaw's some second album release party. It was some Albie Shaw party, and Tragedy had just came home from doing a bid. He was a minor, but he did a bid in Attica, like, you know what I'm saying. He did a grown man's bid, because back then, whether you 16 or not, if you do the crime over 16, you're going upstate. So he was upstate, and he just came home, and you can see that, he just came home shit, that that not bitterness, but that whole like not trusting people shit, and you know what I'm saying, all that type of stuff. Colder. Yeah, and I knew who he was because I was a big fan of Super Kids and the shit he did with Hot Day, and Live Motivator was out. You know what I'm saying? Because Marley had put out the In Control Volume 1 shit, and Live Motivator was on that shit, and that was my favorite song. So he usually tells this story, but I'm gonna tell the story now because he holds me responsible for. He says that there might not have been a CNN or Mobb Deep if it wasn't for me meeting him and turning everything around. You know what I'm saying? So he was ready to just give up on everything. He was like, with the music shit, he was disappointed with the music shit, and he was supposed to be on Symphony, and you know what I'm saying? It was like a lot of shit, like, a lot of his songs that were beats for him ended up going to Heavy D, and you know what I'm saying, when he went away. So it was like he was real, like, hated the music shit. So he was like, fuck this music, I'm not doing this. And I said, yo, you Tragedy, man? And he was like, yeah, I'm Tragedy, And I'm like, yo, boom, boom, I'm Joe, this and this and this and that. And I said, yo, what you working on? And he was like, working on? He was like, I ain't working on shit. I was like, you ain't trying to rap? No, he was like, nah, dog, I ain't trying to rap. So I'm like, nah, you crazy, dog. And I was 16, whatever, 17, 16. But like I said, I was a privileged child. So I used to have like my mom's car and shit. Like she used to lend me the car, or I used to just take the car because I made copies of the keys and shit. So, and they wouldn't know they in the house. So, I take take the car and shit. So I'm like, yo, what you doing? And he was like, what you mean what I'm doing? I'm saying, what you doing after this shit? I was like, yo, take a ride with me somewhere. He was like, so I'm like, who the fuck is you? Like, where am I riding? I'm like, yo, trust me. Just take a ride with me. We're going to go by the Apollo. I said, by the Apollo Harlem? He was like, yeah, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Because motherfuckers ain't get away from Queensbridge that much. And the party was actually on Vernon, like a few blocks away from Queensbridge. So I'm like, nah, I'll bring you right back afterwards. He was like, all right, cool. So we went uptown, and I don't know, y'all not from New York, but by the Apollo, on the block of the Apollo, they used to do this everywhere, clubs and everything. They had the backdrops.
Yeah.
That they used to have, like, the Bugs Bunny, like champagne or some shit like that. Yeah. And they had all. They had it
on 42nd Street. They used to have them a lot.
They used to have them there too, exactly. Yeah. But they had these by the Apollo on 125th. So I took them up there, and they had this big one. It was black. It didn't have no picture on it, but it was black with green fluorescent letters, and it said Live Motivator. So I said, look at that. He damn near started tearing. He was like, yo, like, people acknowledge me? And I'm like, yeah, dog. I said, yo, you my favorite artist other than G. I was like, you my favorite artist. He was like, what? And he was like, I started doing that shit, that coming around every day to Queensbridge. It got to the point where people thought I was from Queensbridge. Like, even nowadays, people be like, oh, QB. I'm like, I'm not from QB, but okay. You know what I'm saying? But I started going every day around and picking them up. So, some people say, I even say at times I seen that as an opportunity, but not an opportunity, because me and him created a bond where he wasn't an opportunity anymore. Plus, I didn't even know he was going to rap anyway. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, what you do anyway? I'm like, work on beats with my man Large Pro and, DJ and stuff. He was like, word. He was like, Hot Day is my DJ, but, was my DJ. But since I ain't doing this no more, if I do decide to do this shit, he was like, you going to be my DJ. So I'm like, all right, cool. We can do that. So he was like, yeah, but Joe, like, what's your DJ? I'm like, he's like, DJ Joe. He was like, I'm Tragedy, how about Fatal? And I was like, Fatal? was like, yeah. Like inside, I was like, yeah, Fatal. I was like, yeah, Fatal will work. You know what I'm saying? Fatal will work and shit. So he gave me the name Fatal. So it was DJ Fatal. You know, and at that time we used to have another little young person hanging out with us. Well, he came about a little afterwards. We had another little dude hanging out with us, and his name was Keywan. So he was hanging out with us. He was rhyming. He wanted to rhyme in this, and we were like, Trash was the same thing. I was like, yo, Trash, we can't have him with the name Keywan. He was like, word. What you think we should name him? And I was like it was a dog or some shit. Like, what you mean? We gotta talk to him about what he wants. So we sat down. We was like, all right, you know, he was like Fatal Tragedy, and he had already said this in the rhyme. I was like, you said causing havoc, tragedy, tragic. So I'm like, how about Havoc? He was like, yeah, Havoc. He was like, yo, your name, and that ended up being Havoc.
Word.
Oh. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm just giving you a little fun hip hop
Yeah, we need it.
hip hop trivia. You know what I'm saying?
We need that. We need that.